Hi and welcome. Today's guest on the askColm&Jane talk show is Shona Mc Manus.
Hi Jane.
Thank you so much for your time. I know time is of an essence for you.
Yeah.
Busy woman. For anybody that doesn't know Shona is not only a mother of two amazing kids, she is CEO and owner of Osbourne, which is a recruitment company, very successful one at that, but also the President of the Drogheda Chamber. I first came across Shona through the Chamber. I suppose for me, I started it off with just for networking, to get to know other business people. Kind of had that concept of Chamber was only for people in suits and business people, corporate world. Little did I know that it wasn't, and it's something that I've really kind of become passionate about, saying, you know, that it wasn't all about the suits and the corporate level, that anybody in business, it's a great way to network and actually meet people. But more importantly, we're going to talk about today time pressed mums and how do you juggle it all, Shona?
That's the magic question with no magic answer, and it is a juggle. It's a constant juggle, and it's about having a lot of support around you, well, as much as possibly you can get, because everybody's busy nowadays. And just planning, and then having, I suppose, when it comes to work and the children, and then trying to get a bit of time in for myself where I can stay fit and healthy, which is good for not just the body but also the mind and mental health and stress and all of that. It's just having a little bit of time, and every time I do have a bit of time, just getting out there and trying to grab it for myself and getting a bit of me time, as they say, for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Have you any kind of tips for our listeners, especially for someone like you that's running your own business? I know myself, taking time for yourself, it can be hard, but that aside, business aside, you're also a mom. So a lot of people that I suppose are interested in me time training are at that stage in their life where they're, you know, feeling guilty for actually taking time for themselves. Is that something that, or how do you deal with that?
Well, you do feel guilty, because if you're not at work, you feel guilty you're not at work. If you're not at home with the children, you feel guilty you're not at home with the children as well, you know. So, but you have to, because you have to look after yourself. And if you don't look after yourself, nobody else is going to look after you, really, you know. So, so for me, what works is I will build into my daily and my weekly schedule times when I can grab 20 minutes, half an hour. I always say it's 20 minutes, it's not really, it's more like 40 minutes where I can get out and go for a run, for example. So running for me is a great thing. Or being able to come to classes like even what yourselves, Jane, offer in terms of me time, where you can just dip in when it suits you in your schedule during the week. But you know, when it comes to the running, for me, I bring my runners, I bring my training gear, they're always in the boot of the car, and if I have my 20 minutes, really 40 minutes, I throw them on and I just go, and that's what I do. And sometimes even if I just need time out to think, or if I need time out to work through something, even at work, or if I'm planning, you know, stuff for at home, like it helps as well, you know. So I'm able to go out and think as I'm running. So it's nearly efficient use of time as well,
because you're actually thinking about it, and you know it is. And I suppose, as you say, you build that system in, that you're organised around it, so when the time is right that you have to yourself, that you make sure that that's a priority. And I suppose going back through being in touch with you through the Chamber and through different networking events, I've noticed that you take time for everybody and everything, and that's something that, like, it's hard. It is really hard to do. And I suppose you're in a position now where you have you're running, you have your work, you have your Chamber, but for people that probably don't take that time for exercise, the more you don't do it, you can't be the best CEO of business, or you can't be the best at networking, or you can't be the best parent. And I find there's a lot of people coming in and they'll say to me, you know, I'm so reactive to my kids, you know, that constant reactive mode, because they're not actually taking that time for themselves.
Or you can get frustrated and things start working there, you know. You just get, when you're at home especially, you can get very frustrated with everything that's going on, or with the children, and you need time out to just let go for yourself, you know, and to really, like, as I say, let off the steam, or run out the steam, or whatever, you know. But I find sometimes you could go out, you could be really tired, even to get into your runners, put on your training gear, get going. You feel so tired. You're like, I just want to sit down and have a couple of minutes to myself. But actually, I find that more often than not, if I just put on the runners and get going, when I come back, I'm re-energized threefold. Like your mind is fresh. You've got good energy, you're in better form, you're smiling, you're probably laughing. You might have gone out in bad form, you come home and after you catch your breath, you start laughing, you know.
You realise that it's not so bad after all.
Not at all, and it's totally worth it. And it's that after feeling, after you've had that exercise, that's nearly what you chase sometimes, you know. And I haven't always run or exercised.
That was actually my next question to you, because although I seem to know you from a business point of view, you know, is this something that like you kind of got into because you needed that time for yourself through exercise, or is it something that you've always did?
Actually, I'll tell you the honest truth.
We did rehearse this, and there's no editing, so I'm putting Shona on the spot.
No, I'll tell you the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So I used to smoke.
Right.
Yeah, I used to smoke about 10 cigarettes a day for a long time. And after my second daughter, I didn't smoke when I was pregnant, and I chose not to go back on them. But I had a lot of baby weight to lose, and I found I was eating more. And when I went to school, when I was younger, when I was in school, I played basketball. I never did athletic sports. I never did running. I never was into football or anything that incurred a huge amount of stamina. You know, I wasn't involved in. I used to cycle actually a bit. So running was totally new, and when I started running, I could not have run from here to that door without wheezing. I was, as I said, I was carrying, I won't say how much I was carrying, but I was carrying an awful lot of extra weight that I needed to lose after the second baby. And so in the last, say, I think I'm running now maybe 5 years roughly, and I suppose after a year I had probably come back down to my pre-baby weight, which was great. So that was the first benefit I got from it. And that was a real big thing for me because of confidence. So and to be honest, I lost about 4 stone. Like I lost a lot of, or 3 stone maybe. I lost a lot of weight, you know.
Brilliant.
And I battled with that massively.
Yeah. And it is a struggle, anybody that goes through a weight loss journey anybody that tells you it's an easy journey is not like.
Yeah, and I really did. On the second baby now, I put on a lot more weight than I would have on the first baby. And
which is quite common.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And then you get into, all of a sudden now you have more than just one child, you have 2 children, you're very busy, you're back to work, you're in the car, I was in the car a lot, running around the place, and there was no time. And it was actually my daughter who suggested to me, why don't you run like our next door neighbours who were really fit, lovely neighbours, really fit, and were actually involved in a running club. So my daughter Lauren said, why don't you do like our next door neighbour, I won't name her. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea if I could run. Yeah. But then I got talking to them and I joined the club and I got, and that was another great thing. Actually.
Yeah, having so just a social
Absolutely, Jane. Because at first I tried it on an app and a phone, which was great. It got me going and it was great. And then I joined the actual running club, and I was really nervous at first, I have to say. Like, you're doing something, you don't know anybody. People, to you, they appear to be very confident in what they're doing. They appear to be really fit. As I said, I was carrying the weight, I couldn't run, I was really unfit. But really, really wanted to get myself back. Really, really did.
That's actually, that phrase alone, wanting to get myself to find me again. Like everything you're saying there is exactly in here, and I think having that social environment's huge. You know, so many people are so nervous whenever they come in here. They're thinking everybody's going to watch me. I just had a lady in here this morning talked about, well, you know, what if I'm holding people back, which doesn't happen? What if I'm, you know, all these. I suppose it goes back to the stories we tell ourselves with maybe no truth involved. You know, it's something that we bring to our own head, and then we start to believe it.
Exactly. And I know, exactly. Like even it's small things, but when I first started running or getting out exercising, like I used to be wearing my earphones, be really conscious that people would hear me breathing really heavy, and you'd be running past people nearly holding your breath. So they wouldn't hear you, like stupid things.
Yeah,
you know?
things that
things that don't
you'd
matter.
never think on anybody else.
No. Or I was conscious of how I looked in my running gear and stuff, and I'd wear a long vest down over my bum and my t-shirt over that, and like I was really self-conscious. Now I'm like, thankfully I've come back down to pre-baby weight, and I maintain that by keeping up the running. And the running is not just for weight, but it's for my headspace as well. It's really important with a busy lifestyle to try and balance it all, and so that, as you said earlier on, I can be the best person, or you know, if I am feeling a bit stressed or I am feeling a bit irate about stuff, that I can run it out and I don't take it home or try not to bring it home to the kids, or you know, so
it's something actually I read an article you wrote once. I've done some research.
Did you?
But you said a phrase that really stood out to me, and it was a stress outlet.
It is a stress outlet.
For me, like, that just sums up me time functional training straight off. Is like, I'm not saying you have to be stressed to train, absolutely not, but what for me, like, it's absolutely the best thing ever. Like, no matter what time of the day, if I find myself, you know, getting overwhelmed or finding I'm doing too many hours, I'm going to myself, right, what class can I do today? This is a sign that's saying to me. Whereas before, I suppose, I would have been looking at that more of, right, let's go to food, let's go to things that maybe isn't serving me well. And I suppose it's just getting over that hurdle of actually starting and realising the stress outlet that exercise can be. Absolutely, to actually take that step and know that all the stories that you tell yourself about not having time, like, that's the biggest,
everybody
as we
has
call
time.
Excuse.
Everybody has time. You have to try and make it, and that's it. And you have to cut out something that is not working for you and change around. So it's a lifestyle. It's not. And I tried everything from, like, everything in terms of managing stress, everything in terms of losing weight, you know, diets and all of that, like, you know, and they don't work. Crash diets don't work. Like, you need to change your lifestyle. It has to be a blended lifestyle approach to managing your stress, being your best self, being fit, looking your best, feeling confident, all of those things, you know. And it's not just for, but I know you say, I'm very busy and I work in the chamber and I have my own business and I've got my children and plus lots more things that I'm involved in. But it's, everybody is busy in their own way. You know, if you're at home in the house all day, by God, the day goes and you don't know where it's gone. The days I take off, they're gone. Like, I don't know where they're gone. It's funny. Everybody has got a huge workload and stress, you know. And
it's about prioritising. That's something else that you mentioned, you know, about actually keeping focus and prioritising. And like, that can go across the board in anything what you're doing, whether it's in business, whether it's at home, whether it's anywhere you are, that if you're keeping focused on what you're doing and you're not like one day you're at it and the next day you're not, it has to be something that you're always focused on.
A bit of consistency.
And actually keeping and prioritising. Like, you know, I just recently had a conversation with my sister who has 2 young kids as well, and she's saying any chance she gets on her own, no kids aren't there, away with dad or something like that, she starts cleaning. And she's like, all of a sudden the day is bloody gone, and she's saying the kids come home a few hours later, she feels like it's back to scratch again, and then she's going, why didn't I just go and do a workout, or why didn't I do something else? So it's that constant feeling of guilt that it's your responsibility to actually take on all these extra
roles. I think the reality is as well, like, if you want to, so say for example you have to do the cleaning or whatever, if you just throw on the runners or get down to your class or go for your run or go for your walk, whatever it is that works for you, just go do that first, and then come back and do all the other jobs. You'll get through them much faster because you'll have that energy, everything will be working, and you'll have a lot more speed in you, I think, as well.
Definitely.
Know, so
you speak of energy levels there. Did you find energy is another big one for time pressed moms, that they're exhausted, and we often use the analogy that, you know, you're the fly against the window, and sometimes the fly's buzzing against the window that long that you come back and you know the fly's lying on its back exhausted and burnt out. Do you know, if you just stop buzzing against the window, there could be a door open behind you. And I think that's what a lot of the mothers that come in here, they're actually coming into me exhausted, and they're saying, you know what, Jane, I can't do this anymore. I'm that fly that's lying on their back that can't buzz against the wind anymore. But when you actually stop, change your lifestyle, and then start seeing things in a different way, I think then the energy level starts coming. Would you agree with that?
Totally. And sometimes it's more about how your mindset and how you think and what your attitude is to it all. You know, as I said there a couple of minutes ago, like, some nights or some mornings even, I'm like, oh God, I'm driving myself. I'm so tired, or I think I've got this other huge to-do list that is everything. But really, if you just get into it and get going, you create a whole new energy in your body, you know. So even when you're exhausted, and if you get out, do your class or do your run, by the time you're finished, your body has created total different energy, and now you've got energy for the whole day or the rest of the evening or whatever it is, you know. So and I think different people have different times of the day that they're good at exercising. Like for me, definitely the morning works a bit better, you know, and definitely over the weekends. By the time the evening comes, I am genuinely tired,
Exhausted,
so I'm not going to do my best workout per se sometimes, you know.
And it's funny you say that, because there's some people that come in here, I know even between Colm and I, Colm's an evening trainer all day, but he's played sports all his life and that's what he's used to doing, so football training and different stuff was in the evening. But as you say, finding what works for you. Some people, they'd rather have that buzz in the evening because they're not great sleepers. And I would find a lot of my customers that come in here who aren't great sleepers, they'll train in the evening and they'd say their sleeping patterns are completely different from it. So, you know, everybody has a different percent, but it's about what works for you. And I think that's a big one. I suppose just the last area that I want to touch base on is, I suppose, through networking with you, I just find your positivity and energy is huge for the Drogheda community. Everywhere you go, the room seems to shine up.
Oh, Jane, I don't know about that.
It really does, though. Everybody give, and even the energy you've given me, you know, throughout the networking, and this is not something, this is genuine, you know. I think that is another huge element of it, that when you have that positive kind of personality, you can do a lot more for yourself. You know, when you give positive energy and actually believe that you can do all these things, not only are people around you starting to go, you know what, well, you know, she can juggle all them things and still be bright and have a positive effect, you know. And even you've spoke about, you know, in your work, your team's so important.
Oh, they are.
They're so important, and creating that. So whether your team's in work or in your family, when you're creating that positive energy, I think you always get it back as well. Would you
definitely
think that a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely would. And you know, sometimes you just got to feel the fear and do it anyway. You know, like I was saying to you a few minutes ago before we started doing this, it like Saturday morning when I did the half marathon, you know, so
just casually done.
Casually did it. I signed up a few weeks back and wasn't going to do it, and but sometimes you just got to feel the fear and go for it and just do it. And you know what, it doesn't matter what the outcome is, because the best outcome is that you did it, and it's better than staying at home. It's better than sitting on the couch. Anything other than sitting on the couch is better, you know, so you can't get any slower than sitting still. Any piece of moving forward, or any bit of exercise, or any club you can get involved in, or any classes you can get, it's just better than sitting still. You know, it's better mentally and physically.
I think it's having that self-worth, that, you know, I'm actually value myself enough to take that time. You know, that's another huge element of it. And you know, it's something that even, you know, investing into, you know, getting involved with gyms or you know, even our classes or that, people would say, you know, valuing that for themselves is something that people say, you know, the priorities could be elsewhere. But again, it's just your mindset and how you actually flip it around. Would you have one kind of overall, I suppose, summary of advice to leave with our listeners about, I suppose, time press, the importance of it? What's your one big tip that you're going to give them for today?
I think, like, it's always really, really difficult to manage your time. Like, and I'm no expert at it. Believe you me, I really am not. I always have a huge to-do list and I never get through it. But you have to first be okay in yourself. Nothing's going to get done. Your children, your family, your partner, that, like, your household, your business, your job, your colleagues, your team, nothing's going to work if you're not okay in yourself. And this is one of the biggest things that I'm learning at the moment, through stress over the last number of years, through everything I've had to go through in life. Like everyone's lots to deal with. No matter where you are in life, you've got a lot to deal with. So you've got to put yourself number one. Nobody else is going to afford you the time or say, hey Shona, or hey Jane, go now and take that 20 minutes and do your exercise. You've got to do that for yourself. And I do believe now, I'm totally converted from where I was maybe 10 years ago to where I am now. If you don't exercise, you're in some shape or form. It doesn't have to be heavy exercise, even if that's just a walk every 2 days. If you don't exercise, you're not going to be at your best. You have to get out mentally, physically. You have to give yourself that time. That would be my advice. And I wish I could have maybe given myself that advice maybe 20 years ago when I started off my own career path, before I had family and as I was just getting into career, to have some kind of physical fitness of some level that would be also good for my mental health and my own wellness, and my own physical wellness as well, you know. So,
you know, I suppose it's a big word at the minute. You know, I remember moving to Australia, 5 or 6 years ago,
Yeah.
and people talked about anxiety. I didn't really know what it was. Like
Massive
I
now.
didn't. It wasn't a word that I was familiar with, and it was quite common in Australia, and I can see it filtering in now. Like even in the workplace and stuff,
Massive.
it's a huge element that people are saying. You know, we've invested so much time into, you know, manual handling courses in the workplace, how to lift things properly, you know, workplace safety physically, but mentally it's just a whole different ball game. And I think we're in between two stools of actually not talking about it and bottling up. The awareness is there and the words are there, but actually taking action we're still kind of balancing out. But I think something you just mentioned there was, you know, sometimes we, like even us chatting about it, being vulnerable, you know, we always say if I can tell people how vulnerable I was, you know, even my weight loss, my, you know, time management through, you know, anxious, lack of confidence, stuff like that there, that people then relate to you. And I love how honest you are today, so I really appreciate that.
Not at this stage.
Do you know, I really appreciate your honesty, because some people think they're the only person on the journey.
Oh no.
And that's where sometimes the social media and that we can presume to be that everybody, as Colin would say, have their shit figured out.
Absolutely. But social media is optics.
Yeah.
It's marketing, it's branding. That's what it is. You know, you can put it out, oh, I did a half marathon, or I did this or that. But what you don't see is the piece before it. No, I'm not doing it. I'm afraid to do it because, like, I'm you know, I haven't trained and I haven't done this. And then you just go out and do it and you feel the fear and you do it anyway. And then you feel great afterwards, you know. But I think it's not just about, I think there's a lot around talking stuff out, sharing your stories. Everybody carries stuff. Everybody has their own cross to bear, as they say.
Oh, for sure.
The way a lot of us have been brought up, even for religious reasons, for all sorts of stuff, we carry guilt. Yeah. We carry, as a result, then huge anxiety.
Huge.
We're very conscientious as a culture, typically. So as a result of that, and we've got good values by and large. We have good values, the Irish people do. And
caring what others think and so on. We touched base with that before.
Exactly.
But no, well, look, thanks very much. I really appreciate your time, and I really hope that you've got some value from that. So stay tuned, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Jane.